Welcome back to Power and Politics. A member of the German government is here in Ottawa. He hopes to increase cooperation between our two countries, specifically when it comes to energy. Michael Link believes Canada can help Germany and Europe extricate themselves from dependence on Russian oil. Mr. Link is an MP and Germany's coordinator of Transatlantic Cooperation. That's a mouthful, sir. Good
Relations.
Relations. There you go. Mr. Link, pleasure to have you in studio here. I appreciate you making the time. I wanted to start kind of with a broad look at your view on where Canada fits in as Europe and specifically Germany moves away from dependence on Russia, on their oil and gas. Can Canada play an outsized role in helping that happen?
Definitely yes. I mean, first of all, we had the wake-up call of the Russian aggression, of the Russian war against Ukraine, and that has consequences way beyond Europe. Especially, it showed us that it was a mistake to have a dependency of energy supply of 42% of our natural gas from Russia. We urgently need to replace that. And what better way than to buy from friends and from democracies?
And what kind of energy do you see as having the most potential from Canada? And what challenges does Germany face in being able to receive it?
That is certainly more complicated because we have a short-term need of natural gas, LNG preferably, and we have a long-term need and medium-term need of renewables, especially green hydrogen, solar, wind, and all these things. But we cannot do that overnight. We cannot replace our dependency from fossil energy overnight. Therefore, for some years, we will need somebody who replaces the LNG, what we did buy from Russia. It wasn't only LNG, it was a lot of classical pipeline gas. So we need to replace that. And in parallel, we need to build up our contacts in purchasing green energy, meaning green hydrogen.
There is some refining of LNG that's going to come online here, but probably not to the middle of the decade.
Yeah.
Do you think, in your mind, when you think of where Canada fits in helping those moves be made, do you see them in the medium to long term because of that, or do you think that there is a role to play in the short term?
I think we should begin as soon as possible. That depends from the Canadian side, what is possible, technically, politically, but very clearly the need is here right now. And I'm not speaking only about Germany. Take other countries in Europe, Italy, the Netherlands. A lot of us in the European Union really are in bitter need of safe, democratic energy suppliers. It's better to buy here than from unreliable partners. I wouldn't name now specific countries, but I think viewers know what I'm talking about. It's better to buy from democracies.
I'm sure you're familiar that in this country there are domestic politics attached to that as well, right? There's
absolutely.
a big back and forth between provinces, for example, that represent geographic areas of natural resources and the federal government. And there is there is an accusation from those provinces toward the federal government that they aren't trying that hard to make sure Canada plays a role in the near future. Versus more the long term and with more of a focus on climate and green energy. From your conversations with members of the government while you've been here, or politicians and officials, do you have the sense that Russia has changed that conversation? Do you have the sense that the federal government does want to help Germany displace those natural resources in the immediate future?
I see a lot of raised awareness that what happens in Russia will certainly bring all of us to reconsider a lot of things. We Germans reconsider the way how we finance our military. We Germans, together with many Europeans now, are ready to deliver heavy weapons, things we never did before. And I think we also need to reconsider the way how we cooperate in terms of energy. And I see awareness, raised awareness, and readiness to talk about that. What the concrete result will be, that remains to be seen. But what my role is to make very clear that Germany is very interested as a friend, as a partner in values, as a partner in trade. And we are very interested to have answers from the Canadian side. And we have a very, very good schedule of high-level meetings on all levels. So I'm pretty confident that we will make progress.
How soon, and let me ask you a question that I think our audience will kind of, will resonate. How soon do you think Canadian LNG, for example, could be in Germany?
I mean, that depends of logistics, simply of logistics. On our side, we don't have in Germany a functioning LNG terminal. That's our homework to do. And of course, we would be glad if the logistics would be there, the willingness also from the Canadian side. But I'm pretty confident that there is area for cooperation. And I have very, very good signals. But again, that needs time. We still have a little bit of time. We have a time window of opportunity to do that. We shouldn't miss it.
Do you think there is any kind of consensus in German parliament among German politicians that there should be regret for the degree to which dependence on Russian oil and gas was increased in the last even decade, given that, yes, maybe what happened in the past 100 days wasn't expected, but certainly Russia had not made its aggressive overtures or its aggressive intentions, it hadn't hidden them. Is there regret in Germany right now about increasing dependence on their natural resources?
Mostly, yes. We have some diehard still defenders of the Russian position but the huge majority of parliamentarians, especially of the democratic parties, our coalition, but also the democratic opposition, the Christian Democrats, we all agree it was a mistake to do Nord Stream 2. We all agree that it was a real mistake to make ourselves dependent from a totally unreliable energy supplier who was ready to break every international norm. So that was a huge mistake. That's our homework to do now, to get rid of this dependency as soon as possible. How
difficult is it given the internal politics within Europe as well, though? I think, for example, in the past few weeks covering this embargo of sorts, which still saw, caveats for pipelines for Hungary. How much of a challenge is that?
It's a huge challenge when you go on the areas of sanctions. Maybe for viewers not so familiar with the decision-making in Europe, and I can promise you it's very difficult, we need consensus. Yeah. So all 27 member states of the European Union need to say yes for sanction A, B, C, D, E, etc. And sometimes we have, you mentioned Hungary, that's one case, that's only the visible one. I can promise you there are others. Oh. We always need consensus. So this Russian war against Ukraine is a wake-up call in many ways, in energy, in how we decide things, but especially that we need a qualified way of making decisions in Europe. So it is a wake-up call for more European integration, for having maybe majority voting and not consensus voting. Maybe this thing will give a boost to European integration, and I think that would be a good news for Canada too, because I see Germany and Canada, and especially also the European Union as a whole and Canada, as ideal partners in multilateralism.
Okay, on that note, I'll leave it there. Mr. Link, thank you very much for coming in. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.